After years of hard work, it's tempting to jump right into your career. There's certainly a lot of financial pressure to start working. However, my recommendation is to consider taking some time off before starting that first associateship or between subsequent associateships to allow you some time to relax and reflect. Personally, my life had felt like a real rat race up until and through dental school graduation. I had gone through high school, rushed through college, played college baseball, landed in dental school, and seemingly survived all of those stressors. I entered dental school as an All-American baseball player that had a girlfriend and an obsession with the Denver Broncos. I finished school with a beautiful wife, a sweet little 2-year-old daughter. Those things that were once all I had cared about had faded into the background. While dental school and my immediate family grew into those spaces. Simply put, I was a vastly different man than who started the process several years beforehand, but I hadn't spent any time along the way reflecting on myself or all that had happened to me to get me to where I was. In hindsight, I've now realized how hard it is to appreciate the reflection of myself in the mirror when all I could do was try and keep my head above water, try and graduate. When I graduated, I was finally able to stop treading that water and stare at the man in the mirror. I could see his reflection clear as day. I could look into his eyes and see the pain of sacrificing many important relationships to get to where I was. I could see how the kid that loved hitting home runs over the right field fence had developed into a dental professional that loved helping people fix their smiles. Having a moment to undergo self-reflection was critical for me at this juncture and remains an important aspect of my life since that time. In dentistry, it's important to assess a restoration from every angle possible to ensure it's a great filling. In life, it's equally important to assess your life from every perspective. I find for me that in times of no work is when I can do this best. I suggest you stop and reflect on yourself as well. For me, self-reflection involves introspection and examining my own thoughts, emotions, and actions. I do this best while on extended periods away from work or on long walks. As you can see, you don't necessarily need to be sitting cross-legged on the floor or on an organic yoga mat, but instead, you just need to find somewhere that you find peaceful. For some people, this is a busy coffee shop. For others, this is going to the gym. Just find somewhere where you can relax and let your mind think. Another major tip is to allow enough time for you to fully reflect on your life. There's no set period that is sufficient for each dentist. For example, someone coming out of school might need a much longer duration of time than someone that's just transitioning for associateships later in their career. But again, there's no steadfast rule. Just be sure that you allow enough time and multiple opportunities in that time to reflect. For me, again, this was a daily walk of about an hour or so while I was off work. Find yourself a daily place to reflect. Some important characteristics of self-reflection include, obviously, self-awareness. You need to be conscious of your own thoughts, feelings, behaviors, and that's a critical aspect. Another critical aspect is driving objectivity, really striving to look at yourself objectively without bias and enable a deeper understanding of your strengths, weaknesses, and areas for growth. Again, this can be a fairly challenging area of self-reflection for a lot of people, especially high achievers like dentists. Sometimes upon self-reflection, I find that I need to be easier on myself in regards to things like dentistry, but I could certainly do better with things like communicating with my family. Another aspect of self-reflection for me involves curiosity, cultivating a curious mindset, exploring and questioning my own beliefs, values, and assumptions, which has led to many meaningful insights. For me, that's how I created the idea to start The Educated Associate. Another important aspect of reflection for me has been open-mindedness, allowing my mind to view and understand alternative perspectives and promote my own flexibility in thinking. Sometimes during self-reflection, I think about a challenging conversation I had with someone that maintained a contrary viewpoint to that of my own. During the self-reflection, I began to see their point of view, which was absconded from my mind during the actual conversation. This allows me to then make a more insightful choice on what I think about going forward. Another critical aspect of self-reflection involves accountability. Taking responsibility for your own actions and their consequences is a critical aspect of self-reflection. As mentioned before, when I reflect, I often think about various points of views that other people have brought up, and this allows me to make changes in my own life. The final and definitely the most important aspect of self-reflection is an action-oriented approach. Self-reflection is most impactful when it leads to actionable insights that drive behavioral changes or personal development. When you have that aha moment during self-reflection, the most important next step is to make the change. Remember that self-reflection is a continuous process that requires time, patience, and a willingness to engage in self-exploration. As mentioned, I do my best self-reflection during times of low stress. For me, that's when I'm not actively working. In a future video, we will explore work-life balance and how to incorporate time off into your life. For me, it's during these sustained periods of time off, 1 month or longer, that I do my best self-reflection. And when I do my best self-reflection is when I've made the most actionable changes within my life. So be an educated associate. Step away from the rat race of life and build some time for self-reflection into your life. Trust me, the future you will thank you dearly for those actionable changes you make today. Comment below with how you reflect. Hit like if you're going to involve some self-reflection with you. What's the biggest change you've made during self-reflection? Dr. Shit's tips. Take time off before starting your first associateship. Use that time off to reflect. Allow enough time to reflect. Reflect on multiple occasions. Understand those actionable steps from the aha moments and repeat the cycle periodically as needed. If you have any questions, message me directly. And as always, stay growing, my friends.